doesn't have any children of his own, but he married a girl who was later a doctor, and she had a daughter. And but now Jim's divorced, and he goes with a real nice lady. She's real sweet, and they live up here in I think it's Lapeer. And Brian lives over in Jackson, Michigan. He works for Consumers. They call it Consumers Energy now. It used to be Consumers Power. But he has 3 boys, and the oldest one's a freshman at University of Michigan. Really nice boys, 3 of them. And his wife is beautiful, lovely lady, Linda. And each year they send us a beautiful card showing the pictures of the 3 sons. They do a beautiful job with those pictures. Each one of them is so neat. But they're 2 nice boys. We were neighbors of theirs for a long time, of Keith and Dorothy and the 2 boys. They lived about 6 houses down the road from us, out in Auburn Hills. And we had more fun with them. Kids would come down and see us all the time, and we had more fun when they were little, teasing them. One day I said to Brian, I said, you know that your father, I said, I'm going to give him a good whipping one of these days. I'm going to beat him up. He went home and he said, Dad, that man down on the corner says he's going to beat you up. And my brother Keith laughed. He said, I don't think so. He said, I don't think you could do that. And he said, I'll give him a good whipping one of these days. Brian believed him, I think, for a while. But they were really nice boys. Brian went to Alma College, and they graduated from Alma, and he married Linda, who was from Ohio. And she was a co-ed there at Alma College. And they married, and Helen and I went to the wedding in, I forget the name of the place, but it was
Chagrin Falls.
Chagrin Falls, Ohio. Beautiful place. And it was a nice wedding, and we just had a great time. And the next morning we had a beautiful brunch there at a nice restaurant with a whole group of them. And but at the wedding, one thing that I remember was at a fishing club, and somebody pushed one of the, I believe it was the best man, pushed the best man into the water. It was a fishing club, and they pushed him into the water, and his tux was just soaked. So naturally, some others followed, some others in the party. And I think, if I remember right, 3 or 4 of them went into the water. But they all had just a great time. And Helen and I enjoyed it so much. I think I've told about all of my brothers and sisters. Keith had just recently passed away in January. And luckily, her daughter, she had one daughter named Patricia. She called her daughter Diana, it was in January, and she said, if you want to see my mother's dying, and she's not going to live maybe just through the night. So a day or 2 at the most she'll live. And so Diana called me, and we made a snap decision, and we said, let's go. So she ordered tickets for her, she and I, and we flew out there. We arrived there one night and talked to Keitha. Keitha was in like a coma. I'm not sure that she heard us, but we held her hand and talked to her. And she died the next morning. In fact, about 10 o'clock, before we could get over there to visit her. And that broke Pat up, but I think it helped her a lot to have Diana and I with her. And we stayed for the wedding, and I mean for the funeral rather. Actually it was like a memorial service. And Di read a letter that Pat had wrote to her mother, a beautiful letter. And Diana read that letter to the assembly, and I spoke a few words, and it all went well. Another lady read several passages of scripture from the Bible. But I think that helped Pat, for just to have somebody there to support her. And she has a wonderful friend there that is with her all the time, and her name's Bernice, and she's the one that read the scriptures. I can't think of anything other than that this coming July 10th, Pat's going to have a memorial service up in northern Michigan, where most of us were born up there, Central Lake, Michigan. And she wants to have all of us come up there at that time. And I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe Louis, my brother Louis that passed away, and his wife Verna, they have both passed away in the past 1.5 years. And I think their children will have at least mention Louis and Verna at that time, so we can do all of it at one time. 10th of July happens to be on my birthday, and also my grandson, David Tallman, Connie, my daughter Connie's son. So it just happens, a coincidence, it falls on that day. The following day is, it's always the second Sunday in July. We have a family reunion, the Hill family reunion. My mother's maiden name was Hill. She had several brothers and sisters, and so their children, all of us, meet up there once a year on the second Sunday in July. And we usually have that at a little park at Ellsworth, Michigan. And so we'll be having a 2-day weekend up there, Saturday and Sunday, the 10th and 11th of July. Is there anything else we want to add?
I believe it's the 9th and the 10th.
Okay.
I thought it was the 10th and 11th.
No, I think it's 10th and 11th, yeah.
Challenging.
But doesn't matter.
I'm pretty sure it's the 10th and 11th, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's, I know that it's Saturday and Sunday. And whatever it is, it's that weekend, the second weekend in July of 2005.
We might talk about Uncle Keith's service last year, just from the standpoint that we all got together up there in the old farmstead, and
Yes.
where that building was, and
Yeah.
remember that we may cut this in with the picture that we have of that place. Was that house, or was that across the street?
Yeah.
Just whatever you can think of
Yeah.
the old homestead.
Yeah. This past year we had a memorial service for my brother Keith. He had died in April of 2004, and that July we had a memorial service for Keith, and we had it out at the cemetery. It's about 6 miles east of Central Lake, and it's right almost adjoining where the home I was born in. They always called it Pleasant Valley, Echo Township, Antrim County, Michigan. But it's about 6 miles, 5 or 6 miles east of Central Lake, and there were several of our children and nieces and nephews. We all saw a foundation of where the farmhouse was, where I was born, and my older brothers and sisters. After I was born, a year or so later, we moved to the town of East Jordan, which is about 7 or 8 miles north of there. And Kenny was born in the town of East Jordan, where we lived for a couple of years. He was born in 1924. But at Keith's memorial service, all the nieces and nephews got to see the property where we lived, and then across the road, Norval and Anna, his wife, my grandfather and grandmother, where they lived and raised their children. My father was born across the road from there, where the cemetery is. What was the name of that cemetery? Dorenzi?
Dinsmore, I think, wasn't it?
Well, Dinsmore Cemetery. And that's where we'll be meeting for Keith's memorial service. Now, Keith and Keitha weren't born up there. They were born in the town of Hazel Park, Michigan, which is down here near Detroit, just north of Detroit. And they were born in 1926, after we'd moved from northern Michigan down to Detroit. I'm not sure if I told you earlier about my father and his brother Harrison, and two of their brothers-in-law, actually, because they were married to, I'll back up a little bit. My father and his brother Harrison married two sisters, Hill girls, and Walter and John Scott married two Hill girls. Walter married Beatrice Hill, then she was Beatrice Scott, and Uncle John married Mabel. So the four sisters married two sets of brothers.